Well, everybody, welcome back. It's Conor McGilligan here on my channel. We are doing a championship watch-along on Wednesday where we're going to be looking at Burnley, Sheffield United and Sunderland. It's one not to be missed, everybody. We're going to be keeping on par with every single scoreline, and we're going to be picking one to watch as well, of course. Make sure you join me for that Wednesday from 7 o'clock. But today, I'm going to be speaking to you guys. Please make sure you like the video as well. Hope you're enjoying the content. The last video did really well in terms of comments and engagement. Amazing. Thank you so much. But today, we're going to be speaking about the permutations of this week and why this could be the biggest week or the biggest period in the championship season right now. I'm going to blow up, everybody, the obvious. Now, the table right now, it's so interesting. Obviously, Leeds top of the pile on 66 after playing 31 games. Sheffield United 31-64, Burnley 31-61, and Sunderland 31-59. Now, obviously, the form table as well. If you just have a quick look here, there's only one team in that four in their last five who've lost the game. And obviously, that is Sheffield United's loss to Hull City at home 3-1. But it's so interesting this week how this is going to develop. And the reason behind that is because teams can change their fortunes this week. You've got Leeds coming up against Watford, a massively difficult game. I think off the back of what Watford did at Sunderland as well, albeit they probably should have lost the game towards the end. They're going to take mass confidence from that. Vato not being back for this one, so you're probably going to see Ince and you're probably going to see a little bit of tinkering in around that central midfield space. But Chad Fatadze is so important for this game, potentially Dumbia as well. And this is going to be a difficult game for Leeds United. It is 100% a banana skin for Leeds. Going down to Watford still, even amongst their struggles, Watford have something like the 4th, 5th, or maybe even 6th best home form in the division. Something to keep an eye on. Leeds then on Monday night, the blockbuster of the championship campaign are coming up against Sunderland. Now, this is a monumental game in the championship campaign. Sunderland can quite easily swing this back. They can if we just look at the table right now, everybody, Sunderland can quite easily swing this in their favour. If Leeds do potentially drop points against Watford and Sunderland win their game, obviously, on Wednesday night and go to 63, Leeds drop points, either full 3 points or maybe grab a point, 66-67, then it goes into a massive game on Monday night of which Sunderland can really close that gap to potentially a point, which is absolutely huge. Now, if we just have a quick look at Burnley's fixtures here, everybody, look at this here. On Wednesday and Saturday, 2 huge games for them. You definitely look at that, and with the greatest of respect, you look at that and say they are winnable games. Burnley, right now, as you can see on the screen, everybody, 3rd in the division on 61 points. That can turn. Burnley are still well within the opportunity, the right of winning that division. And sometimes I forget, we forget about that, don't we? As we've just mentioned, this blockbuster game, huge here. Now, the big thing for me right now is why we all, I think, need to keep this lot away in Sunderland. I think there's a main reason. The main reason behind that is this lot have got a lot of boosts coming their way. Alan Brown, I thought, would be out for a much longer period of time. He's back on the grass. But the big ones to focus on, everybody, are the fantastic Romain Mundle and, of course, Tom Watson. Brighton, £15 million wanted Tom Watson. He's coming back into the fold. You're then going to have the balance, surely, of putting Enzo Lafay back into the central attacking midfield space. You're then going to have options offensively that are staggering, really. Joe Bellingham back into the fold as well, enabling that athleticism and physicality, but also class in that midfield as well to really take centre stage with Chris Rigg in there as well. And maybe rotation of Dan Neil as well, who Dan Neil has been superb this season as well. We have to say that. But what they can have right now is Sunderland have options. They have dense amount of options. Meander, for me, hasn't been played enough. Hasn't been played and utilised enough. So that's something to keep an eye on as well with Sunderland coming into, once again, us talking about this final furlong. But Burnley, just quickly touch on those with the fixture. Hull City coming up and Preston. Marcus Edwards is the one to keep an eye on. Can he turn some of Burnley's 0-0s into 1-0s? That's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, Burnley have been struggling when it comes to that regard. So just having a quick look at some of the other fixtures as well, everybody. If we just pivot to Leeds United, and we've spoken about them already, but, Watford and Sunderland, Leeds can lay down a bit of a marker here. If they win these 2 games, I think it's going to be quite difficult for, especially in these 2, if they're able to beat Watford and Sunderland, I think that then really gets Leeds on the way to winning the league. I think so. I think these are really big wins, of which Leeds have struggled against Watford previously. They've also, in very recent history as well, struggled to Sunderland at home. You're looking at last season where Sunderland weren't a fantastic side and Leeds struggled to break them down at home. Sunderland, I think, will come to win that game. I think Sunderland have to win that game. And I think that gives Leeds opportunity as well to counter on that transition, especially if they utilise players like Ramazani, Dan James, Manor Solomon. But if Sunderland attack Leeds, it's going to be such an interesting game. And I don't think it's going to be similar to Leeds United versus Burnley, which was another blockbuster not long ago. If we just pivot as well, everybody, loving that word today, to this lot here, Sheffield United, who I think are well within the race. And guys, everybody, we've been speaking about Sheffield United as if they are done, really, which is crazy. Not done as such, but they're weak at the minute. Now you look at their week coming up, another big week. 12th and the 15th. Once again, Sheffield United can change their fortunes again. They win these two games. I don't think Leeds will win their next two games. So if they win these next two games, look, we're talking about a different conversation here, and potentially Sheffield United pulling away, or not pulling away, but at least getting that advantage. Now, what I wanted to talk about with Sheffield United is obviously the tinkering of Chris Wilder. What he has to do, he has to get Gus Harmer in that central pivot. He has to. Absolutely has to do it. He can't keep putting this guy out wide. He cannot be on the left. They've got options wide on the wide areas, Brooks, Raksaki. You've got other players who can play out there as well. I think he's got to stop shoehorning Ryan Brewster into that central space. I think he's also got to really put the emphasis on Gus Harmer almost being that captain-like player, driving them forward through that vertical central space and making things happen. The players who are in and around that central space cause more damage than those out wide. Why? Because those in these central spaces can affect the game more because they're in the central spaces. These pockets of space are the ones that affect the game way more than players out wide who can be neutralized. They can be put out onto the byline and sort of doubled up on. In that central space, if you're a good quality player, you can have long-range shots that are on goal. You can effective little slot through to the attacker. It can all happen in that central space. And a central attacking midfielder is so crucial to creativity, but also to execution. And I think Gus Harmer and I think Enzo Laffy in particular are something. These two players in particular, if Chris Wilder and Regis Labrise are able to infiltrate these two players, not out wide where they can be ostracized, but in that middle, through that space, that is where teams are going to start having a serious problem. The problem is right now is I think those two can be managed by putting them out wide. Chris Wilder's post-match comments as well against Portsmouth, for me, maybe instigate or insinuate, I should say, that he is going to start changing something around because that can't continue. Hull City, Derby County, Portsmouth, you cannot be struggling against these three teams. And Sheffield United have struggled against these three teams. They should have lost at the weekend. Derby was quite an even fixture. Sheffield United edged it a little bit. And for 60 minutes in that Hull City game, Hull were the better team. And obviously they won the game 3-0 at Bramall Lane. So I think it's really key. And I've mentioned this previously. Sunderland right now can definitely, if they beat Leeds United and obviously win their next game, a very favourable game as well. If we're just looking at their fixtures when they've got, obviously Luton coming up at home in the bottom three, they win that, they go to Leeds and win. Sunderland are right back in it. And they're not out of it here, by the way, but they are right back in it. We're talking about Sunderland still potentially winning the league again. Obviously, it's looking at Sheffield United right now. But yeah, that is Sunderland potentially winning the league. And this is the thing, it's so exciting because you guys can tell I'm a Leeds fan. A lot of you will be Sunderland, Burnley, Sheffield United fans. The permutations are so interesting, the different alternatives. But for me, every single team right now has its ace card. I think overall Leeds are the best team in the division. That's what I think. Leeds are not really losing out on injuries right yet as well. You see Max Verber, who's not available today, but, water is wet, the Pope is Catholic. That seems to be every single week anyway. Leeds are still having bodies available, fit all the time. Leeds need to come back, by the way, from that Millwall loss in the FA Cup, of which Millwall deserved to win, and win their game against Watford, or at least not lose it, and then go to Sunderland at home at Ellen Road and win. Okay, so Leeds can't, in my opinion, go through these next two and not win one of them. I think it's going to get extremely tight very quickly here. One to keep an eye on is Sheffield United. Borough going there. Borough with a little bit of a porous defence as well. Keep an eye on that one. But their central midfield has been superb, facilitated by Morris. But Hayden Hackney is growing and growing and growing. And they have a lot of players in there that will damage Sheffield United if they carry on playing like they did against Derby, Portsmouth and Hull. Borough are not going to let them off the leash, and they play fantastic football and create a lot of chances. So that's something to keep an eye on. I still think Sheffield United are going to win that game. I think they're going to come through it. I think Wilder's going to start facilitating Gus Harmer into that central space as well, which is going to limit maybe a little bit of what Hayden Hackney can do. They've got more than enough going forward, but can they keep out Borough the other way? Burnley, I think, have got a real opportunity here to pick up 4 to 6 points, but 6 points, I think, is what they're going to pick up, which keeps them firmly in the picture, especially with their goal difference and lack of conceding. I really think Marcus Edwards is a good addition there. Sunderland, I think, right now, obviously, we know Tommy Watson's not available right now. Mundle isn't and Brown isn't, but you look at, I mean, we've still got, guys, it's 10th of February. We've still got 15 games left. If these players are available, Enzo Lafie comes into that central pocket. Sunderland have got over 40 points to play for. That's what we're talking about here with these players back. So that's how they've managed their depth so well. And, Leeds United, as I've just mentioned, every single team right now, it feels like, have positive strains to them. They have things like Marcus Edwards at Burnley. I think that's a big boost. You saw that at the weekend. Sunderland's returnees and what they've been able to do without their returnees as well. Joe Bellingham coming back for them. Sheffield United potentially moving Harmer into that central space, and Leeds United continuing with that sort of injury-free and real quality side of which they've been able to manage really well and scored the most goals and create the most big chances and create the most XG. But it is a pivotal week. And then, one to keep an eye on, everybody, the week after, Sheffield United, Leeds United. Leeds, 3 really tough fixtures. Sunderland, 3 really tough fixtures. Sheffield United, you would say, 3 really tough fixtures. This is the opportunity now for Burnley with their 3 fixtures coming up. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, everybody. Really interested to hear your thoughts. See you soon. Catch you on Wednesday. Cheers.